And you'd be switching through the channels and you'll see race cars going around. He'll say, "Daddy, stop, stop." And he's only 3 years old. He wants to watch the cars. So it's difficult, though. You know, it's always constant training.
Another Napa Field summary is showing you 19 cars on the lead lap. Do you ever have any desire to get out there and try this?
Well, I actually had one opportunity to drive in a Pro-Am in Long Beach.
Oh, yeah.
And it was exhilarating, to say the least. And I'll tell you, it gets in your blood like that. And I was willing to go further, but they kind of put a halt on it from the 49ers. So I would love to do it again, but I don't know if my wife would go for that.
There's Ernie once more trying to dive. Excuse me, Joe. Trying to dive inside Hud Strickland.
And while all that has been going on, Kyle Petty has sneaked into the picture, and now second, third, and fourth are just separated by a few car lengths.
I'm sure the big wheels of San Francisco loved you out there driving those race cars, right? Those big contracts.
They didn't like that idea very much at all.
Well, now, Joe, you play most of your football games in the winter, but it is pretty warm on the football fields at some times. We've got an infrared camera set up here down at the end of turn number 1, showing where the heat comes from the cars and where it is on the racetrack. There it is. You can see how hot the brakes get, how hot the track gets. Look at that.
No, thank you.
And the inside of those race cars, if it showed that,
yeah.
It's extremely hot, too. I expect they're 135, 140 degrees inside.
I can believe that. Just in the short time I was in one, and that would compare nothing like these. Probably lose 4 or 5 pounds easily.
This is the third year in a row we've had the pleasure of meeting a top NFL star like yourself. Steve Largent was here a couple of years ago. Boomer Esiason was here last year, but it's great to get to meet you. And, of course, all this is in conjunction with Haynes, the sponsor of the race.
Oh, it definitely is. I've been associated with Haynes for about, since 1989, and I've had nothing but great times with them, and my wife and I both enjoy it. And we're just happy. That's the nice thing about it. Haynes has afforded me some other luxuries, like being able to come to my first race and going to the Crosby and things of that nature. And it's fun to get out, and they like to get you with the people, and that's what it's all about.
We understand that Ernie Irvan's car may be overheating. Kyle Petty has closed in on him now. Davey Allison is also entering this picture. John Kernan has a report.
Tony Glover and the crew have the water hose out. They're ready for Ernie just in case the temperature goes up. Apparently it has. Tony Glover has told Ernie Irvan to pit on the next lap. In fact, the crew springs into action. Kyle Petty goes around. Ernie slowing down. You can see the water coming out of the back of the race car, the overflow. Bad news for Ernie Irvan, who is running in second place. The water temperature had gone up to 240 degrees.
And here he comes. His pit is the very first one off of corner number 4. But the crew will go to work, raise the hood, try to get the car cooled off, and get him back in competition.
Man, they're having all kinds of trouble getting the hood up. John Kernan?
They had a problem with one of the hood pins, Benny, and also you see one of the crewmen taking a hammer, beating back the screen. That's to allow more air to get in to cool the radiator. They're knocking the screen out in front. Now they're putting water, filling water up. Ernie sitting on pit road. A very bad break for the Kodak Film Chevrolet crew.
And each second he sets there, he gets a little bit further behind. Leader Rusty Wallace comes off the 4th corner, puts another lap on him. And Ernie can only sit there and wait for the crew to get finished. His best finish here in a Haynes 500 was 15th. This race in 1991. Meanwhile, now Davey Allison comes in on Kyle Petty, and Allison shoots by going into 3.
Well, you talk about coming in on him. He really went into that turn. Kyle gave him a running room down on the end for him to go down on the inside and make it fast.
And Davey Allison now moves to 3rd as Ernie Irvan comes back out onto the racetrack.
And so does Kenny Wallace. He's been in the pits for a long, long time. He's back on the racetrack.
Rusty Wallace, who's won the last 2 short track races, is in the lead here in Martinsville. Looking for the sweep. There's Jeff Bodine, who is not on the lead lap, and he has been in that position since the green flag came out from the most recent caution period. But still has not been able to get that lap back that he lost very early. He was the pole sitter and the new track record holder. And we will be back with more from Martinsville Speedway in Virginia and the Haynes 500 and the Grand Marshal of the event, Joe Montana.
Today we're going to talk about rear end camber. The object behind rear end camber is to keep the maximum footprint of the tire on the racing surface at all times. The most important part is in the middle of the corner and off. This particular housing has 1.9 degrees. The maximum allowable by NASCAR is 1.89 degrees. Achieving the maximum or the best setup in camber at a place like Martinsville is worth up to 2/10 in each corner. Over the course of a 500-lap race, that adds up to a lot.
And you'll remember a year ago, this was camber day when leader after leader fell out after breaking rear axles. Alan Kulwicki, Dale Earnhardt, Ernie Irvan, among those that suffered the rear end problem.
And right now, Rusty Wallace certainly not having any problems. All the way back to there is second place, the 27 car of Hut Strickland, and Davey Allison has worked his way up to third place.
Good run for Davey. Joe, you remember last year when Davey had that horrible crash at Pocono? Did you see that?
Oh, how could I ever forget it? I'll tell you, it was devastating to me just to watch, and I'm sure it was as to all race fans.
I'm sure you've taken some hard hits, but maybe not quite that bad.
No, you know, that's the one thing. We take some pretty good lumps out there, but the thing that you admire about these guys is they really put their life on the line every time they go out on the track, and you never realize that until something unfortunate like that accident happens.
All right, going to put you on this spot. Who gave you the hardest hit that you can ever remember?
Oh, guy, that's so difficult. I've had a lot of them. A lot of them come real close, I'll tell you. It's really hard to pick one of them. But if I had to, for lack of a better, I'll say LT.
There you go. Here's Jerry Punch.
Talk about being fans. You know, Davey Allison is a big football fan, as are many of the drivers. And Davey told me before the race that he's a big Joe Montana and was a big 49ers fan. He said, you know, it meant so much to him last year when he was in the hospital in Pennsylvania after that violent crash at Pocono that Joe Montana called the hospital to see how he was. Davey said that meant more to me than anything else that happened up there was for someone like Joe Montana take their time and call to see how I was doing.
Well, thank you on behalf of racing.
Oh, hey, it's my pleasure. You know, there's nothing that you enjoy more than seeing other athletes competing well, and you hate to see anyone down. And whatever we can do to help get them back, or any kind of help their mental spirits, it's all I can do. My pleasure.
Davey Allison
had Hut Strickland passed at one time, but he got in traffic and Hut got back past him. Bob, there are a couple of cars that they've been working on. Ricky Rudd was behind the wall for a while. He's back on the racetrack. So is Kenny Wallace. But the number 4 car of Ernie Irvan is behind the wall. We saw him have that overheating problem a little bit earlier, so it has put him behind the wall at the moment.
Joe, I imagine it's pretty much a day of autograph signing for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it has been one of those. You know, the response here has just been overwhelming, and it really makes you feel good.
Davey Allison, the driver's snapshot, started 6th, currently 3rd. That's his highest position so far. His lowest has been 7th, and he has not led a lap so far. Joe, thanks for stopping up in the booth, and thank you for being the Grand Marshal of the Haynes 500, and good luck as a Kansas City Chief.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Joe Montana, the Grand Marshal, here this afternoon. Well, this battle between Davey and Hut rages on.
Davey is really trying his best to get by Hut, just can't make the pass. I think he's a little bit faster right now if he can just get in front of him.
Yeah, I agree with you. As you said, he got by him in traffic there a little bit ago, as we saw, but he just was not able to stay there. He got behind another car that was going a little bit slower, and Hut made the move to go by it, so he got back in front.
Now they go to the outside of Derry Cope in the 98 Coach Engels car. The 26 car of Brett Bodine. This could be one of the fastest cars on the racetrack.
He is very fast. After they made their pit stop in particular, Bob, he has come back up through the field, made a good pit stop, and now being shown in the 4th position. And
Quaker State Ford of Kenny Bernstein, who is racing this weekend. Brett started 18th, moved to 12th, then 6th, stabilized at 6th, and then moved to 4th. That's his current position at the end of 159 laps. And the number 4 car of Ernie Irvan is out of the race. Little contact there between Derry Cope and Dale Earnhardt behind Brett Bodine. We have run several laps now without a caution as Rusty Wallace continues to lead this race. There's Dale.